Hi everyone, this is Liz with The Restless Wild, and I'm so excited to share my January 2021 bullet journal Plan With Me video. This is my first monthly Plan With Me video that I've posted, so I hope you enjoy it. I recently set up my yearly spreads, but this is my first month in a fresh journal, and I am certainly excited for a fresh start with blank pages and a new year. Goodbye, 2020. Good riddance. I'll drink to that. Ooh. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. So once again, I am using my Archer and Olive A5 Night Sky Blank Pages notebook. So my theme for this month is navigation and navigational instruments. For examples, sextants, compasses, stars, etc. I drew inspiration from a bunch of different sources for this, including the Jupiter and Saturn conjunction back in December. I don't know if you all saw it, but the two planets were basically closely aligned and looked like one massive star in the sky, which was pretty awesome. I also do get some inspiration for my notebook cover. It has the Big Dipper on it, and that keeps making me happy. But also, too, it's just winter here, which means long nights, bright starry skies, things like that. And I'm also fondly remembering a trip I did this past fall in October. Well, trip. It was a local trip, micro trip. We went a couple hours away to Staunton River State Park in Virginia, so just over the border in Virginia. And I did a midnight trail half marathon with some friends, and it was awesome. Some friends, as in like a friend. Socially distant, outside, camping out in the cold under a bright starry sky with the Orionids meteor shower going off above us. It was amazing. This park is a designated night sky park, and so I am always a big sucker for bright starry skies. I do very much love those. But also too, some inspiration came just from the concept of it being a new year and finding my direction and purpose in 2021. So yeah, starting off with drawing a sextant, and I will talk a little bit more about the sextant and some other spreads, but basically a sextant is a navigational instrument where you use a celestial object and the horizon line where you determine direction based on angles. It's basically a glorified protractor. Who all remembers using protractors in grade school? I certainly do. I loved my protractor workbooks. I did. I'll admit it. In addition to the sextant, I am also drawing a few of my favorite constellations, including the Big Dipper, Orion, Cassiopeia, and the Pleiades. What I don't enjoy, though, is drawing really sharp lines and precise things like inanimate object and using a ruler. I pretty much never use a ruler. I hate it. I love freehanding things. I'm too lazy to use a ruler, but obviously I'm using one right now. Really because I wanted those sharp lines. Last January, I did a theme where I also used sharp lines. It was all keys, like antique brass keys. And I also hated myself for that because I can never quite get the proportions right. I don't love drawing straight lines. So it was a fun challenge for me. And so I was remembering that when I was thinking about this theme, and I was like, Liz, you're not going to enjoy all these straight lines. Like, don't do it to yourself. And sure enough, y'all, you did not see all of the sketching and rework and redrawing that I did leading up to this. It was a lot, and it was somewhat frustrating. I almost abandoned this theme, but decided to keep pushing through. Finally got it right. Lots of measuring and ruler sketches later. One of the things that is really important to think about when you are working on sort of inanimate objects that are very symmetrical is the use of negative space. So not necessarily focusing on what your drawing outline looks like, but also paying attention to the space in between your lines. So for example, when I'm looking at the sextant, I'm seeing this A frame and trying to make sure that my A lines are neatly matched up in between and making sure that that space in between my actual drawing, the negative space, that is proportionate. So there's some really fun art exercises that you can do that basically includes like draw a square, and then within the square, like grab a kitchen object and try to draw it. So for example, a fork, lay a fork down, and then you like imagine you're looking at the fork through a frame, and then draw within the frame. So you're paying a lot of attention to that negative space, and not just the object. So object is symmetrical, negative space is symmetrical. Ta-da, your proportions work. It's great. But it's also a pain in the butt because it's not something I'm very good at. And putting the finishing touches and popping on over to do the at a glance. So I am setting up my weekly information here at a month level. So I've got week 1, 2, 3. I always start with week 1, even if it's not a full week. So even though it's just Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm treating that as the first week. So I'll actually have 53 weeks by the end of this year, but that's just my way to keep things organized. And then the next thing is I'm setting up my mood tracker. So my mood tracker, I am calling it Navigate by Feel. I couldn't come up with a super punny header for it this month. I tend to do super cute punny headers for my mood tracker. One month I did a hedgehog theme, and I said feeling on hedge. Oh yeah, lame. But anyways, navigate by feel, and I'm doing a variety of instruments that are coloring book style. And all of these are printables for Patreons, or you can purchase it on Etsy. But I tend to gravitate towards the adult coloring book style for most of my bullet journal setups. They convert fairly easily to printables, so then you can just take this and print it and color it in. I did not include the key in the setup. I always go back privately and set up my key. It's not like it's anything that fancy. It's just basically a 1 through 5, terrible, bad, okay, good, and great kind of level, and then color code it. So I will do that later, but I like to have I like to pick out colors that match the theme, so I'll probably do kind of a brassy color and some dark navy colors for my general theme for this month. But yeah, so I've got sundials and compasses, both in terms of the directional compass, but also the compass that's like, it's to draw circles, you know. Apparently it's also called a compass. It annoys me that it's one word for two different instruments, but whatever. A ship steering wheel, a quill, binoculars, a lantern, some pocket watches, a globe, some stars, things like that. So yeah, putting way too much detail into something that I'm just going to end up coloring over. It's fine. It's fine. Adult coloring books are fun. And then erase all the pencils and flip on over, and I am ready to set up my December retrospective. So the retrospective is something that I do every month. Essentially, you're going to look back on the previous month, and it's pretty simple. There are just 3 questions. It's what went well, what didn't go well, and how to improve. This is a concept that I work in software development, and this is a concept from software development. Agile, Scrum, and Retrospective are all kind of, it's within the Agile Scrum framework. So I have found it applicable to my daily life, and I always set it up in my monthly setup. And then I'm also setting up a spread for focus. I just like to be able to set an intention for each month. Oh, and actually, this is where things are getting interesting, because the focus is actually from, this is the view you would have through the Sextant. So apparently, I was watching lots of videos on this. Apparently how a Sextant works is a bunch of lenses and filters, and you look through the scope, and you can usually like get your direction off of the sun. So you look through the scope with filters on so you don't blind yourself at the sun, and then you end up like moving the instrument down so it refracts the image, so you have basically two images of the sun. It's kind of like if you're in a car and you flip your rear view window or rear view mirror, you get like two images of cars behind you. It's basically that. And so what you do is you move things around so that your second image of the sun is perfectly flat on the horizon. And once you get it exactly on the horizon, that's when you check your gauge and it tells you your angle, and then you compare your angle to a table based on the time of day, and it tells you your directions. It's complicated, and clearly GPS works much better, but it was kind of cool to learn about it. And now I'm setting up my January goals spread. I like to have a double spread for this because I have lots of goals, and I like to be able to sketch out different goals and some trackers and do some planning. So for this one, I'm keeping it fairly simple in terms of the design, just a telescope looking up at Polaris and the Big Dipper, and filling in the text, leaving lots of space for filling this out later for my own personal goals. And then also setting up a spread for my January work deliverables. I like to be able to set specific goals or deliverables that I'm going to focus on for work. That way I'm making sure that I am on target with some of my project plans, or also if I don't have project plans, that I have some clear metrics and goals and deliverables for me to work on that month, so that when the end of the month comes, my boss says, Liz, what did you do? I can say, oh, I did things. Here are all the things that I checked off. Totally. Instead of just being like, I swear I worked. I did something. What did I do again? I don't remember. So I like to be able to plan out what are the big ticket items that I'm going to deliver. And then I'm also setting up a quote page. And so the quote is, a ship is safe in harbor, but that is not what ships are for. And this is an aphorism that has been attributed to, I think his name is Shed. Oh, this is where I meant to have information looked up already. Let's try this. Okay, so it is John A. Shed. In 1928, he released a collection of aphorisms titled Salt from My Attic. And it included this one. And technically, I reworded it a little bit. The wording is a ship in harbor is safe, but that is not what ships are built for. I simplified it a little bit because the I am and the rhythm and the half rhymes, like, it's just better this way. So a ship is safe in harbor, but that's not what ships are for. Like, I wanted that pattern in it. So I butchered the saying. My bad. I was being high maintenance. All right, so with that said, we'll do the quick flip through. So we've got the cover page and my habit tracker, and at a glance, and my mood tracker, and then my December retrospective and my focus and monthly intention, a spread for my January goals, my January work deliverables, and a quote page. So thank you so much for joining me. I have all these printables available on Patreon and Etsy, and they will be linked below. Thank you all so much. Happy New Year and have a wonderful January. Bye.